Hello, everybody. Welcome to Extra Connections here on JLJ Media. I'm the JLJ of JLJ Media. Imagine that. I'm James Lott Jr. here coming to you from the storms of Los Angeles. I don't know. We're both here in LA, and it's actually not. I mean, if you live somewhere outlying, maybe it's bad. But right now, where I live in Inglewood, it's raining hard, but it's okay. We're good down here. Everything. But I'm bringing to you a friend of mine I've known for a gajillion years, and I'm watching him just be booked and busy all the time. And it's been wonderful to see. He's done commercials. You've seen him in commercials, TV, movies. He's doing streaming, regular stuff. He's just all kind. He's also a writer, a producer, actor, and he's my friend, Brent Bailey. Hey, Brent.
Hello. Hi. Are
Um,
you it's funny as you said that I was like, is it even raining anymore? I don't
it stopped for a minute, and over here it
it
stopped
might-
for a minute, and I can hear it again on my
Yeah.
audio. Like
Gotcha.
they're trying to
Yeah.
warn us. They're trying to warn us. I was telling him earlier off camera. I said, "Do you have a canoe or an ark? I mean, are you ready?" I mean, they're making it sound so like,
Yeah. It's not as bad as it seems. I did get like multiple alerts yesterday on my
yes,
phone
me
being
too.
like, watch out. And then like on the freeway on the drive home, it was like, stay indoors, don't go anywhere. And I was like, oh man, is it worse? Am I just downplaying this? What's happening?
So if you
But
also are having an issue, we're with you. We hope it does okay. But I know for a lot of us, it's just raining really hard, and we need the rain in Southern California.
we do. Yeah.
So Brett, I'm saying your book's busy. I want to say this on camera to you that I think one of the reasons why you are booked and busy is because you're a nice person. Anytime I don't bother you all the time, but whenever I have over the years, you always answer back, and so I think that's something that it's important in this business. People like being around people that answer back also, but that are also pleasant to be around. And I just want to say it on camera. Thank you for all these years. Thank you.
Of course, thank you. Yeah, I had good parents. They taught me good manners.
Thank God. But we haven't done a show in a while. We did some shows back in the day. But we haven't done it in a while, and that's why I
Yeah.
reached out to him and we're doing because he has some stuff to talk about. That I want to ask him about. Um, uh, First, I want to ask you. We had strikes last year, and so
Oh yeah.
we didn't do a lot of. I did a lot of work. You did a lot of work. It was kind of crazy. What is? What are some of the things you've learned about yourself during the strike period? Because a lot of us had to really look at ourselves and look at what's going on. And yeah, so what did you learn?
I mean, I would love to like say that I had a terrible year. Shockingly, I mean, as you know, commercials weren't on strike.
Right.
So I actually, like even during pandemic, I was one of the very fortunate ones that like during pandemic, I was the spokesperson for Shell. So that job was incredible. I think like honestly, the 2020 might have been one of the best years like that I had for work and income. So I was like, oh, I feel so conflicted because I'm doing great, but I also didn't want to like talk about it because I know quite a few people that were doing really, really badly.
Yes, I
And
me too.
so I was thankfully in a position where I was doing well. The strike, again, like since it wasn't commercials, I was doing a bunch of commercials. And so financially, I was fine. And it kind of gave me a little bit of that freedom to go escape to my place in Big Bear a lot, and then kind of just have a moment to because you know how this business goes, like we never really have off time, and anytime you do try to book a trip you always book a job.
Always,
So this
always, always.
always, and so this was like one of the really wonderful times where I was like, I can actually go book a trip right now and like not have to stress. So I just kind of relaxed, settled, tried not to stress about it. It was out of my control. I went to the picket lines. It was a really good reason and like excuse to go see a lot of people I hadn't seen in a long time. There was like a shocking amount of, I don't want to say happiness, but people were excited to feel like they were back in the community. I actually think it brought a lot of the actors and writers and directors and producers back together and kind of like strengthened that bond, which was important because I feel like we had started kind of unraveling there for a bit. So I think for me, it just kind of helped me get centered a bit more and then brought back some friendships that I hadn't seen in a while. And then also introduced me to a lot of new people.
Yeah, I will piggyback off you and agree that the pandemic was good for me too in a weird way. It was good for me because um, a lot of actors had time off for that first six
Yeah.
months. So I did a million interviews. I was like, I was one of the few ones who right out the gate said, okay, I'm going to get on and do like 5 interviews a day 5 days a week, take the weekends off, and I was out there interviewing everybody. Everybody had time, so like we're all talking and
Yep.
get up and have a good time. And so I had a really good year that year. I mean, I launched JLJ. I had a really good year that year after I left AfterBuzz, and then the next year just got a little better because things started opening up again. But it's like I kept those relationships, I strengthened them, the PR people, everybody during that. That's carried me to today. And so I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
I have friends who seriously left LA and to go back to their home, go
Oh
back to
yeah.
their parents. I mean, that was really bad. I mean, it was. You and I are not downplaying that at all. But I just know for me too, it was like for me, opportunity struck, and so I was able to pivot and work. And you're right, commercials weren't under it, soap operas weren't under it because I work in a soap world. So there were certain places that they were still working, but we always supported what was going on. So I went down to picket lines, passed out water, did all kind of stuff, saw my friends,
Mhm.
did that.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it was. I agree with you. I think it really did strengthen our resolve too that we do work. I think the people out there don't understand that for your entertainment, we do work.
Oh yeah, a lot of work. I mean, you're constantly working because if you're not on a job, you're working to get a job, and working to get a job means, like I had an audition yesterday or day before, and it was like 14 pages of dialogue that you had to then, well, some of it was FYI, but you had to,
Oh,
set up your studio, you got to shoot it.
yep.
Then when you get the job, like we do work usually like 12 to 14-hour days. So it's not like it's just an easy effortless career. Like when you're working, you're working. Those people on those hour-long dramas, they're putting in long hours. And if you get into these like action shows and the stunts, like it's a job.
It is a job, and all the crew and all the everybody
Oh
behind the
gosh,
scenes who work harder than we do. They're there before
100%.
we get there, and they're there after we're
And they're
gone.
there well after we leave. Yeah.
Oh
And
my,
their turnaround times are shorter. Like I always say to the crew, like you guys are champions, man. Like you're also on set all the time. Whereas when I'm not on camera, I can choose to be on set if I want to watch. But otherwise, I usually have a trailer to go like lay down in.
yeah,
So it's they're if without the crew, obviously, none of this business would be here.
yeah. I did an episode of Studio City. It's on Amazon Prime. My buddy Sean Kane and all them. I'm friends with all of them, and so they asked me. I played a bad host. Like you're getting typecast.
Nice.
They're like, you're so the opposite. So I got a chance to be mean to him. And like I said, we literally were friends off camera. And it was
Yeah.
like, we had a good time. It was a good time. But I was there all day. I mean, I was there, we had to go out to Canoga Park. I was there from like 7 in the morning and there to like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I just watched the crew and I'm like, we're going from this set to this set and do this. I mean, just it's
I don't know
really,
how they it's yeah, it's impressive. It's also really fun. I got to play mean on a show just recently, and I think, as you said, like I do think I'm a good person and a nice person. So when I get to be a mean person, it's so much more enjoyable. And Greta, who plays Stella on the morning show, which is the show I was working on,
yes, you're on
even
morning, yes, you're on the morning show.
yeah,
Yes.
so she could tell I was holding back a little bit because it's a tough role. If you haven't seen her, if anybody hasn't seen it, I play a terrible person, but she could see I was a little bit resistant to like leaning into it. And after like take 3, she was like, "Hey, we hired you because you are such a nice guy, so like you can have as much fun as you want." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And so she gave me that permission to really make that guy a creep.
So that's funny you say that. So I did a movie I did it. Well, we'll get to about your Christmas movies later, but I did a movie called Second Chance for Christmas with Vivica Fox and Brittany Underwood and my girl Kelly V.
Fun.
Cohen. So they hired my friend Jared Weber's directing and producing. James, I hired you as a bad TV host. I'm like, why am I getting typecast as a like you're so nice? Because I've been interviewed by everybody in town. They're like, you're so nice and interviewing. So, but you're right.
Right.
It's like he goes, James. I had my co-star Kelly V. Doe and love you, Kelly. I asked her, I said, girl, what should we do? And because we had a lot of downtime in between stuff. We were talking. She goes, James, this is mean as possible. It's mean. And
Yeah.
I had to be mean to her, mean to Brittany Underwood's character. I goes, because there's like Ghost of Future, whatever, Ghost of Future, whatever. And I saw her for this part. We were mean. And we were pushing, we were pulling each other. And I was trying to get the card from her, some so called dance or bust. It was
Okay.
hilarious. And I know what you mean because I'm usually a nice person. Otherwise,
Yeah.
when it comes to hosting, you never invite somebody on your show to be mean. Like you just would never do that in real life. You just don't do that.
Right.
And so if you're
Although that one girl now is like wildly famous for that exact concept. Well, and so was Zach Galifianakis for like Between
well,
Two
yes,
Ferns.
his 2 ferns, that's hilarious. But see that part of
It's so funny.
it's so funny. But I'm like, but in general, like a Steve Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel, they come on to talk to you and be nice to you. So it was like
Yeah.
I got permission to be like this bitch, just be somebody just tell me like just like I was so rude, and I get to see it. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm so rude. So I know what you mean. It's like you're almost afraid to lead into it. Plus, you don't want to offend your co-star or whoever you're with, also. So I understand
100%.
that. I do understand that.
And that's why I think it is important to have that relationship, outside of the scene, so you can get the permission. And that's why, like, I think there's so many different aspects of this business now that they are being more aware of that, especially when it comes to like physical touch and kissing and intimacy. And that's why we have those intimacy coordinators to
Yeah.
let you know, like, here are the boundaries, here's what's okay, so that you can have a good time collaborating and making something wonderful on film, but while not like making somebody really uncomfortable in real life.
So when you're on something like the morning show, because that show is so
Mhm.
critically acclaimed, it's on Apple TV, but it's being watched by a lot of people. Do you get recognized for that kind of stuff when you're
That's
on?
actually, yeah, the morning show. I mean, I've thankfully have worked a lot over the last 18 years, but the morning show is definitely one of those ones where I got a lot of messages from some people that I hadn't talked to in forever that were like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, it was also such a different role for me that I think it took a lot of people kind of off guard, because I am kind of known for being the nice guy and doing like the nice Christmas movies and
Yeah,
commercials. And
yeah.
so when I got that role and I was such like a jerk, people were like, "Oh my gosh!" And then it was funny. Some people were like, "I didn't even know like you could really act," but like, wow. And I was like, "Oh, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad
You're
thing,
like,
but thank you."
hi, I'm an actor. Hello. Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, that one pulled a lot of attention, which was great.
And that's why I asked that because like I said, you're continually working. You're a very good character actor. You like to see show up in things, but when something that's like kind of part of the zeitgeist or whatever, I had that with Jimmy Kimmel Live. I was on that a few years ago and became everybody was like, "Oh my god, I know James Lott Jr. He's on Jimmy Kimmel Live." It's like it's a whole different attention because we're in this business. We
Yeah.
like this business. We're not in it. I mean, I'm not in it for fame and fortune. I'm in it because I like the business. I'm assuming you're
Right.
similar. We want success, obviously, but like when you go on something that's like that's not so niche, when it's like a common thing, I always wondered if there is a different attention to that.
I think so. Yeah. And I do think people, everybody in this business, and I think even maybe people that aren't in the business do realize when something is more prestigious than other things. Like if you're working with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and like people of that caliber,
Yeah.
it is like, oh my gosh. As opposed to like if they see me in a commercial for Clorox, then they're like, ah, I mean, not that both aren't equally
Oh,
hard to book.
they work. Mhm.
And to be fair, the Clorox probably paid a lot more, but
I know.
it's still like for the resume, people really seem to be like that holds more weight, which makes it exciting.
I don't know if you have the answer to this. I mean, could we just anything? But I just wonder. You do a lot of commercials, and I have a couple of my friends. My
Yeah.
friend Tanner Novin does the Liberty commercials. He's on Liberty Bibbity. That's his whole thing. He's getting hits on that,
Yeah.
and he's my buddy.
He
But he's
also just came, he got like brought back now, right? For he's
yes,
doing like a
yes,
new bit.
yes, he
Yeah,
is.
he's great.
He's great. And he's also on Bold and the Beautiful. So I just want to know for you because because we just so folks who don't understand this, there's a whole commercial thing, commercial agent, commercial side, it's a whole thing there, and then there's the acting stuff. And that's all acting is a whole different thing. Why do you think you've been able to kind of do both? I mean, like how you've been you I mean, it's almost equal kind of seems like to me like it's your career. It's kind of like you are doing both things kind of equally.
Yeah, I think like back in the day, I'm sure like even since you and I have been in this business, there was a bit of a negative connotation with
Yes.
commercials in television. Like if you were a movie star, you didn't do TV, you didn't do commercials.
Right.
That has now completely gone away.
Yes.
Where like a lot of the celebrities actually want to do TV, especially if it's streaming, because it's such like gritty content. They get to like really sink their teeth into it. And then I think honestly, a lot of people just realize there's so much money in commercials that like, why wouldn't they do it? So that's why you see every A-lister is now the spokesperson for something. And I think I was fortunate enough that at the beginning, I was just so grateful to work on anything that I was like, oh, great commercials. And then I realized how much money you make off them. So I was like, even better. And then that gave me the freedom to have the time to go work on TV shows and movies and write my own stuff. So I think in a weird way, it gave me like the financial freedom and also the confidence because I've been on set so many times and I've worked with so many people. A lot of times the directors and like the DPs that are shooting these commercials too are commercial. I mean, they're shooting movies. Like
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
like Doug Lyman did like one of my
Oh, yeah.
commercials, and
Yeah.
Anton Fuqua did my
Yeah.
KFC commercial.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're like, oh gosh, this is incredible. So it's a good networking area, and any on-set experience is good. And then luckily, a lot of the stuff I do book as an actor in commercials is speaking stuff. It's not like the simple bite and smile. It's rare that I do the commercials where I don't talk. So I think that's been a really strong suit for me, that I was a good enough actor for television and film, and then I would come in and take the spots in commercials that required some kind of comedy or large portions of dialogue that they had to get through in one day.
Yeah. All the commercials I've done were not speaking. But I was, you just said that, I go, all mine were not speaking. I'm like, I'm holding the plate. That's what I'm doing.
Hey, my favorite thing now to do is when I get a commercial, I don't have to talk. If I can just do a look, I love it. It's my night before is so much less stressful. My whole day on set, I'm just like, who wants to talk about anything? When I have a bunch of lines, like when I was shooting Shell, I was like, please nobody talk to me. I have to say this word perfect thing when I walk through 4 stages, and I'm freaking out.
Oh my God. Wait,
it was terrible. That first Shell commercial I ever did was like, it's when I take the nozzle, I turn to camera, and I talk as I walk, and that's all real. And it was like, the timing had to be precise because it was on that. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's like a giant rig that holds the camera, but it's all controlled by a computer system and it's pre-programmed, so it moves the same no matter what. So if I slowed down, it passes me by, or if I sped up, I passed it by. So I had to not only know all of my dialogue, walk through all of the set, also at an exact pace. And then they told me halfway through, I pushed like a button and balloons fall and a car turns. They're like, once you push that button, it's an hour reset because we have to collect all the balloons. And they're like, we only have the budget to do this. I think it was either 8 or 10 times.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And then we got 14 more commercials after that same day. But those they had a teleprompter for, which saved them. The first one I had to know.
I was gonna say, because walking and talking isn't easy.
You would think it would be, but
right,
it is really hard.
It's
especially when you have like, guys doing martial arts around you and like balloons falling and like walking through hedges while you're carrying a 15-foot gas hose. I was like, this is. And with those, like, there's the commercials you can do where you can kind of just, you have a script, but you can be loose and you can kind of improv. You can have fun with it. When you're doing something like Shell, it's already gone through legal like 15 times.
Oh, yeah,
you can't change a single word.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's crazy. But you did it. He did it.
Yeah, it was good.
He did survive. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Nowadays, the lines are all blurred now, and I think it's wonderful. I mean, it's all acting. I mean, it's all something. It's like, I don't understand this whole snobbery that went on. It's like it's all part of. You can have quality work and bad work. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, it's.
And I think commercials have gotten so much better too, because a lot of them, like, it's amazing. Commercials, I think, are so impressive. You've got like 15 seconds or 30 seconds or sometimes 60 seconds to tell an entire story, sell a product, and like invoke some kind of emotion. And the one that always pops in my head lately is that one with the women. They're like the older women that are sitting at the bottom of the snow hill and they're watching all the people sledding.
Yes.
And then the one lady like orders the butt cushion so that they all can do it. And then it flashes back to their past. And you're like, why am I crying? It's a 30-second commercial for Amazon. But it's like they've gotten so good. The creatives have just learned how to like make these things great. And now there's even like teasers for commercials for like the Bud Light commercial.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean there's a teaser for the commercial? Man, you guys are smart. I was like, you guys are just geniuses.
That's very true. I do want to move into, because you did write a movie that co-starred my ex-boss. I say boss in quotes. I mean, it was my boss, Maria Menounos, my girl.
Yeah.
The Hollywood, because you've done a bunch, but the holiday dating game. You wrote it. You starred in it. How did that? Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
And how'd you get Maria?
It's called the Holiday Dating Guide, and we. I mean, it was one of those things where I don't think I even like could fully comprehend everything that was happening. It happened so fast.
Okay.
Stephanie Slack is a producer that I worked with on Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. She also did the Cape Cod Christmas with Katie Leclerc and I. And we've just stayed such good friends. And when I was shooting the movie in Cape Cod, she asked me if I write. And I was like, of course. Like, I've just learned you always say yes.
You always say yes.
And she was like, you always. And she was like, do you have anything I could read right now? And I was like, I don't, but give me a minute. I'm working on a Christmas rom-com. I'll send it to you within like the next couple of months. And so then I got home from Cape Cod and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never written a movie. I have to write a movie right now. And so I read that book, Save the Cat. And
Okay.
then I, looked up some YouTube forums. I did a couple master classes, and I was like, okay, I've done enough of these movies. I've read enough of these
Yeah.
scripts.
Yeah.
I, I can do this. And so I wrote it, and I sent it to Stephanie and to John Stimson, who directed the Cape Cod Christmas. They both read it, and they were like, it's actually good. They're like, you need to do a few things here and there to tweak it. And a couple of my friends read it and gave me some really great notes. And that was probably, gosh, I don't know, maybe like 6 months before we shot the movie. So I did the rewrites, and then I started shooting that movie called Craft Me a Romance with Jodie Sweetin, and I became really close with the producers of that film, Anne and Doug Koch, and we were talking, and they were like, "What are you doing next?" And I was like, "I don't know. What are you guys doing next?" And they're like, "We don't know. We need a movie for this summer." And I was like, "Oh, I've got a movie." And she was like, "What's your movie?" And I was like, "It's How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days meets Hitch with a female lead set over Christmas." And she was like, "Those are my favorite movies." And I was like, "They're my favorite movies." I was like, "That's why I wrote it, because I love those types of
Yeah.
movies." And she was like, "Great." If Brian Herzlinger, who was EPing that movie and has directed a bunch of stuff, he did My Date with Drew, where he had like $1,000 in 30 days to get a date with Drew Barrymore. He's a wonderful human. And she was like, "If Brian will direct it, I'll write the check to make the movie." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." So I wrote Brian. He was like, "Send me the script." So I sent him the script. He goes, "You need to rewrite it in the Lifetime format," which I didn't know was a thing, but there's a 9-act structured format. There's a
Oh,
wonderful blog. If you just Google 9-act holiday film structure, it will actually tell you page by page what's supposed to happen.
I'm writing it down right now. Okay, got
It's so good. And so he was like, "You have a week to rewrite the whole movie in the right structure. If you can do it, we can make this happen." So I took the weekend, I rewrote the movie, I sent it to him, and he goes, "Great, this works." He's like, "It's a good starting off point." And then he kind of mentored me through the rest of it. But I think that was in like July. And then by August, we were shooting. And so we got lucky that we were self financed because Anne, was footing the whole bill. And then Brian had just worked with Maria on a movie that, like, with Jana Kramer, I forget what the title was. And Maria had always wanted to do the leading role because, I mean, Maria works more than anybody in this entire town.
it.
But I don't think she had, and I could be wrong, but I don't think she had like a leading role where it was her movie. She
Yes.
was always like, the friend, or like playing herself as the host.
Yes.
And I think that's something she really wanted to do. And so he asked her, he's like, "Hey, do you want to do this movie?" And she said, "Yeah." And then as soon as you get Maria Menounos, Lifetime instantly
Yeah,
pre-bought
completely. Yes.
us.
Right. Yes. Right.
So before we even went into like shooting, we were already sold to Lifetime. And I was like, "Oh my God, like how is this all happening?" So even like when we shot it, I was there like as an actor. I had the EP credit, but it was one of those kind of just like, you got the EP credit because you sort of, you wrote the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a great time with Maria. And then by the time we were done, I think, they went through post production, and they edited the movie really quick. Brian did an amazing job. And then it was like out on Christmas Eve that same year. And so I actually just recently, it was like 4 or 5 months ago, I just went back and rewatched it. And then I think that's when I kind of all like set in. I was like, "Oh man, this is incredible." Like, to have written a movie and sold a movie and made a movie and sold it to a network and had it come out like on a primetime Christmas Eve spot, I was like, that's cool. And I think I rarely sit back and like pat myself on
Of
the
course
back
not.
because
Of
it
course
just
not. Right.
feels weird.
Right.
But that was like one night where I let myself kind of just be like, that was a cool accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I felt really good about it.
When I saw that, I remember because I followed you online, so I saw, I was like, he wrote this. I'm like, okay, and I was like, and I watched,
Yeah.
of course, and it was totally the format that you see on it. I mean, you did. I mean,
But
you did achieve it, and I mean, it just because I work with Hallmark Channel. I work with them. They have a show called When Calls the Heart. I'm part of that whole circle, the Hardys and all that.
yeah.
And that's a great that audience is something, that Hallmark Channel audience is something else, and I know GAC family. I know those folks over there too, and my friends generally.
Yeah.
I know all those folks. I know all those folks. You are now part of this because with Lifetime, the Hallmark, it's part of that world. Like you and I both have permeated that world. That's really lucrative,
Oh
um,
yeah.
and busy. It's busy.
It is. They do a
And you're not
ton of
in it.
movies.
I know a lot of
Yeah.
friends who would love to have a Christmas movie written for one of those, sold to one of those, because, and they're writing them right now, but because those things, I mean, since we've known each other, they've taken off even to bigger heights and almost year round. almost year round.
Yeah. And it's not, I mean, they make so many of those Christmas movies, but there are so many scripts. So you
Right.
do really have to either know somebody or get really lucky. And that was like me. I just got really lucky that when I met Anne, she was excited. I had the script ready and like I was able to get her to buy it because otherwise, I mean, I have lots of writer friends that have like 15 scripts that
Right.
are all wonderful,
Oh yeah, of course.
but they're just not getting made.
Right.
So it's tough. It's a tough, writing is a whole different tough part of the
Yes, it
business.
is. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different
Yeah.
animal. A whole different animal. But I was very proud of you. Congratulations. It was really fun. I was like, nice.
Thank you.
I know somebody know because you are in them. And so
Yeah.
you must have another fan base there too, because you are starring in these Christmas films. What is that?
Yeah.
What has that been like?
Um, my entrance to that world was like another funny, again, like I just got really fortunate, but I think you and I are also really good about, we do have the confidence that we want something. But not only will we go after it, but we'll also say like, I want this.
Mhm.
So Jake Helgren on the very first movie I did with Stephanie Slack offered me, he had seen me in, I think it was like Going Down in La La Land. And then I had a really small role in Think Like a Man where I played Michael Ealy's friend. And I think I'd done one
Yeah.
other thing. And so Jake saw it and he was like, hey, this guy's good. And I think he could be good in my movie. And he offered me the role of Hunky Santa. And I was like, can I read the script? And he was like, yeah, of course. And so he sent me the script. And I was like, hey, first of all, because at that point in my career, I was like, I'm not getting offers. This is cool. And I was like, I will absolutely take Hunky
Yes.
Santa. I
Yes.
was like, but I did read the script. And there's a guy named Carter in the movie who is Tammin Sursok's love interest. I would really like to be him. And he was like, well, that guy is the lead. I mean, aside from Tammin Sursok, he's
Yes.
like, so I'm sure you would like to be him, but like that's never gonna happen. And I was like, can I audition? And he said, sure. So he sent me a couple of either he sent me some of the scenes or he just said pick a couple of the scenes from the script and then tape them. So I did. I taped it, and then I got the role. And so that was my entrance into the Lifetime GAC Up TV,
Yes.
Hallmark
Yes.
world.
Yes.
And apparently I got on a list. So now that I'm on that list, I will just sometimes get these offers.
Yeah.
And I will say the funniest part about that is like the holiday film audience is very loyal. They watch all of them. They love them
Yes.
all. They're so sweet. But the one that I did that Brooke Nevin shot, and it was with Cartel Films. It was called Deadly Sugar Daddy, and I played the Deadly Sugar Daddy alongside Lauren Swickard. I got so many messages from that one. And I was like, of all the guys that these women and men were like fantasizing about, I was like, I'm so nice in so many movies. I was like, you chose the one where I was like a manipulative killer. And I think Penn Badgley talked about that too when he was doing that show You. He was
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
stop. He's like, stop. Like, no, don't like this guy, like the nice guy. But yeah, I got a lot of fans from that Deadly Sugar Daddy movie. And it's, Cartel said it did very well. It was a fun movie to shoot, but I was just very confused by like the psychology behind
You can't pick your fans. That's the thing. I've
that.
learned that. You can't pick your fans. But I tell you, because Lauren Swickard, my connection to her, of course, is her husband Josh Swickard, and they have their own Christmas movies out, and he's on General Hospital, and that's my connection there.
That was actually one of the reasons I even wrote my movies, because Lauren and Josh wrote that movie, holiday or
Oh,
Christmas,
California Christmas. So it was like,
California Christmas. Yeah.
yes, it was good. It
So
was really good. Yeah.
yeah, they wrote that, and she did that after we had done Deadly Sugar Daddy, and it was during COVID, I think. And I
Well,
was so impressed. I was
it
like,
was a
wait a second,
huge hit. It was
how
a
did
huge hit. It was a huge hit.
yeah? They
Yeah.
instantly got greenlit for the second one. And I
Yeah.
was like, how did you make this happen? And she was like, just wrote the script. And I was like, I'm going to write the script then. So I did that, and I kind of followed her footsteps along with my other friend, Leah McKendrick, who right now has a movie in theaters that everybody should go see. It's called Scrambled. And she had been an actor. We'd been in acting class together. She'd always done, roles here and there. She was doing well. And then she shifted into writing, and she started getting these amazing writing opportunities. And I was like, it was just like one of those things where I was like, oh, there is that whole other aspect of the business that I haven't tried to like tap into. And so it was like because of these other people that did it before me that gave me the confidence to then go and do it myself, which was so cool.
Well, it's funny. We are like it that way, where we go for what we want, and sometimes you just give a great example. Sometimes you have to show someone they need you.
Yeah.
Like they don't always know if, because I mean, I always tell people it's the same thing as the opposite. When you audition for something, sometimes you could not get the job for any reason. It could be anything, and not even about you. It could just be
Lots of reasons.
lots of reasons. I mean, the babysitter
Yeah.
could you know, well, goes to the babysitter, we know, like whatever. But then it's the opposite. 'Cause I've got a few jobs too where at first I wasn't the first choice, and I have no shame. I'm like, okay, I don't care. I mean, I want to be the last choice. That's fine. I want to be the choice. Whether I'm
Yeah.
first or 15th, I'll take it. But sometimes you have to kind of go in there. They may see you a certain way, just a certain way automatically. I'm glad
Mhm.
that you like you said, you just said I want to just let me audition for it with no harm, no foul. You'll play Hunky Santa, you'll do it. But just like
Yeah.
I kind of like this guy too. Yes, he's the lead. However, comma, I'm probably good for you. And it worked out.
It did. Yeah, yeah. It was a big thank you to Jake Helgren for letting me do that because
Yeah,
that changed my whole career.
yeah, I know I did. I know. I said it's been fun watching you do this. But what? Okay, so you do all this on a silly note. All these Christmas movies and shit you've been doing. How does that affect you? Period about Christmas? And do you like Christmas more? Do you like it less? I mean, what's going on? I mean, just out of purely just silly, not like because Christmas
That's a
is
good
big
question.
business. It's big business,
Yeah,
but how's it for you?
I hadn't really thought about that much. I mean, I love Christmas. I love the holidays. I like any excuse to be able to see my family and like to know that you have like a little period of time off from the business because the business does truly shut down for like
It does.
Christmas.
Oh, it
And
does.
so yeah, so that's always kind of nice just to get that little break. But yeah, I don't think that it's like made me more Christmas, more in the Christmas mood or less in the Christmas mood. But I mean, Chris, who you can't not like Christmas. I mean, I guess there could be like trauma based around it, which would.
Well,
But
you did deadly someone. Oh, you're doing. Whatever.
yeah, exactly.
That's
But
funny.
yeah, I think it's about the same.
Um, are there any roles that you still? I mean, this is still early. In a sense, you've been around for a while, but it's still early in your career. It's like, are there any roles that you have your eyes on that you would like to play?
Not specific role, but like I did have because I've done a lot of TV. I've done a lot of like guest spots, co-stars, and I've done a lot of like the web stuff, and I've done a lot of commercials. I've done a lot of movies. The only thing I haven't really done is, and aside from like Emma approved, the streaming. It's so weird because like streaming's now kind of the same thing as TV, just
Right.
because it's become
Kind of. Yeah.
so prevalent.
Right.
But like back when I was a series regular on Emma Approved, that was still like kind of in the new world of streaming. So it didn't feel quite the same. And so I just had like a meeting with my agent and my manager, and I was like, hey, this year we're doing TV. I was like, we're doing TV. I want either like a really strong recurring on a show or a series regular. I was like, it doesn't need to be number one. I was like, I just want to be on a show. And so that's the new goal for this year. So I just had like a great audition for Chicago PD.
Oh, good.
Um, and I have apparently this week a really good audition for Only Murderers in the Building.
Oh
So I
my
was like,
good. My show. I love that show. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, that's all. That's like, I was like, obviously we're going to keep doing commercials. If
Yeah.
there's time, we'll keep doing movies. I was like, but that's one aspect of my career I don't think I fully have felt like I've accomplished. So that's what I want to do. And I don't really have a particular role in mind. I just want to be a part of a show that is on television or on like one of the big streamers, Netflix or Amazon or whatever it is, and have it be a regular gig.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, obviously I'm not going to retire by any means, but then I'll feel like, cool, like I've done what I set out to do, and then I'll just keep doing whatever comes along.
Yeah. Any more writing in you? You think?
The writing was such an interesting experience because I wrote so many things in that script that were very personal, like a lot of nods to my parents, a lot of nods to my friends. And I, as a first time writer, didn't realize that once people come in, like Lifetime or Maria or Brian, they, they have their own preferences of how things are going to go, as well as like they know how things should go for these movies. And so it got changed so much, which I'm so grateful to everybody because they made the movie better. But it removed a lot of that personal stuff that I had put in there. And so that was a little bit harder for me because then I kind of felt like, wow, I could have just like had one of my friends' scripts that I like helped get developed as opposed to writing my own, like my personal life on there. So I think now on the next run, like right now, I have a friend that wrote a great Christmas movie, and so we've been working to try to get that made.
Okay.
I don't think I need to. That's one of those things I think I checked off. I'm like, cool. I wrote a movie, sold it to a network. I've done it. Now I think I'll just help other people with scripts that are probably much better writers than I am, get their movies made, and then I'll try to attach myself into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. The writing process is very personal, and
Yes.
whatever you write, it's very personal, and you're giving birth. You're trying to
Yeah.
give birth something, and if people attack it, and not I say attack, just being like attack it. When they
Right.
start to break it down, it's like this is like they're attacking your baby, saying your
Yeah.
baby's ugly, and like, well, we got to change the hair of the baby and the colors of the eyes. Like, you got
Yeah.
wait a minute, I like
Yeah, the first time that Brian he did like a rewrite with his wife Megan, and they did a like he was so good because like he's been there before. So he when he sent it over, I was like, Brian, it's a completely different movie. He was like, it's okay, it's okay. It's just like this is how it goes. And I was like, okay. And he's like, just don't you can't take anything personal. And I was like, okay. Then he really helped me along that process because otherwise, I mean, when I first because I mean, you write in final draft, so you see when they make revisions, there's always the asterisk. And I was like, there's an asterisk on every page, man. And,
yes.
and he was like, yep. He's like, it's okay. It's still your idea. And I was like, yeah, but it's my idea based off of somebody else's idea. The personal stuff is what made it mine. But it was interesting. It was a new learning experience, and it gave me so much more appreciation for writers. Like that's all they do is they write full time. Because I was like, wow, you have to be a really, really just strong person to have those kind of notes where people are saying like, no, 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 and changing your movie. And I do. It almost made me realize like sometimes why there's been a couple directors lately, I guess we won't say any of their names, but like the movie comes out but they don't have final cut, and the editor changes the movie, and then they're like, that's not what I directed, and they've kind of been public about it when they got in trouble. But I was
Yes.
like, oh gosh, every aspect of this business is truly like, honestly, like the editor kind of has the last say,
See, I was
because
gonna say that.
you could be a terrible actor and they can make it look amazing. You could be a great actor, they can make it look bad. They can fix a great movie or a bad movie, like vice versa. And I was like, oh wow, everything is out of your control. So you just do the best you can on every take, and do the best you can on every writing assignment. But then you kind of got to let it go.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. You said it for me. I was gonna say I like an editor because I do music. I like an editor to an engineer. It's like they can turn a sow's ear to a silk purse, so kind of thing. Shit into gold. I mean, they can
Yeah.
do that. They can, and I always feel like the movie really is the editor's movie.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you're a director. You got director of photography. You have actors. But yes, if they on a page, they on the stage. I get that part. That's the writing part is
Right.
very important. But the editor has the last word, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And there's times you're like, that movie is completely. I did that. I'm like, I look better than I did before. Like, I mean, these really can make you look
Right.
good, or whatever. Um, but
Yeah.
yes, I always say it's the editor. And then somebody else said that recently too. There's like, it's the editor's movie. That's where we get all the attention, kind of like in the end. It's like they inform what you're going to see on screen. I mean, what you're going to see on screen.
100%.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, Brent, thanks for your time because I know you are. Like I say, you're
Yeah,
booked
of
busy.
course.
I appreciate this so much. Anything coming up that you want to promote? Anything coming up?
I did a really small role in the new Anne Hathaway movie called
Oh,
Idea of You.
yeah.
I got to see it the other day at Amazon Studios. They were kind enough to let me come in and do like a screening of it, and that is going to world premiere at South by Southwest for the closing film.
Oh, wow.
And then I think it's coming out, I want to say May 2nd on Amazon. And it's such a charming movie based on the book, and Anne Hathaway's incredible in it, and Michael Showalter directed. So that'll be fun. I'm only in it for about a minute, but it's a cute little scene with me and Anne Hathaway.
And South by Southwest is an important place. So now the closing movie.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really
Yeah. Yeah. I might go. Do you go to those?
I haven't been to one. I haven't been to one yet. I've
Okay.
always wanted to go. I haven't been to one.
I might go this year. So if you end up going, you let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. But I've never been to one. But it's a very important place to go, kids. And they showcase some great work. And it's very famous, very popular, and a lot of stuff comes out of it. Actually, like wicked stuff comes out
Yep.
of it. I just haven't been yet. Brett, thanks for
Yep.
coming on. It's so great talking to you. You're a great
Good to
guy.
talk to you.
Thanks for doing this, and I'm sure we'll talk again at some point. Let's not wait 6, 7 years. You guys can make sure you do it again sooner. If
Deal.
there's any major
Deal.
projects coming out you want to promote, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. I'm James Lott Jr. You can follow us here at James Lott Jr. everywhere. JLJ Media is everywhere you want to be. We're on every audio streaming service platform you can think of. We're also on YouTube at JLJ Media. And we will talk to you next time with another edition of Extra Connections.